Welcome to this edition of Morgan Asked For podcast. Thursday morning, the 23rd, a little bit later than usual. Nice morning time here in Iowa. It's been a busy, week for Trevor and I, continuing into another busy week. I am headed down to St. Louis tonight and flying out 5 o'clock tomorrow morning for vacation to Antigua for honeymoon. Got married on Saturday, and then I left. Here's the funny part. Then I left for 3 days, and I went down to the Ozark golfing with some friends. And I want to thank Kurt and Tuna for inviting me and bringing us down, and had a great time golfing 3 days down at Lake of the Ozarks at a few clubs there. So just a great, busy time. After this week, after next week, and I don't on Facebook memories and Snapchat memories, everything. This is the week that I go on vacation. Like right now, my son Tyler turns 14 tomorrow. We are on vacation or just coming back from vacation or going on vacation for his birthday. It seems like every year. 6 years ago, I was in the Boundary Waters. A couple years ago, we were in Wisconsin. Just different things. 1 year, 10 years ago, I think it said we were in Florida. Excuse me. So this is my vacation time, and it makes sense because starting a few years ago, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was family week or dead week here in the state of Iowa. No sports, so I couldn't coach anything. Not umpiring or refereeing anything, or most things stopped starting Saturday, or I think actually officially it's Sunday to Sunday. And then golf will start up, and August will be here next weekend. And then it's all hands on deck for school and everything getting back a little bit closer to normal for the fall. And as we're going to talk about here in just a few minutes, football is getting close. Just a few weeks away. I know I was listening to some podcasts about Iowa State, and, Iowa State's had, Jamie Pollard's retiring, so he's doing some interviews, and they had media days, and Jimmy Rogers was in Dallas, and Cyclone Fanatic had, and I haven't listened to him yet, but I know interviewed the coordinators, some of the players, and they're just starting to be a little bit more information coming from programs. It doesn't matter if it's college or the NFL. Training camp will start here 1st of August. It's getting close, and football will be here before we know it, and summer will be gone. Trev, welcome. I know you've been on your own vacation in Chicago. I know you did that agricultural or architectural tour, and I've never done that. I've been to Chicago several times, never done that. But walking around the city, and I know you did it, I think, by boat and everything. How was that, and how was your trip to Chicago?
Trip was great. We got in Thursday afternoon, and it was really smoky from the wildfires. And then, Friday morning we did the architectural tour on the boat, which I do every year. I really like that. It's a 90-minute boat ride. I think it's $40 a person, and you just sit on the boat. They tell you about all the big-ass buildings in downtown Chicago, the history behind all of them. They serve drinks and food. They got bathrooms on the boat. So it's just it's a good way to get to see the city without walking all around or sitting on a bus or something. And the tour guides do a really good job. Then we did Soldier Field tour, why that's still standing, of course, for a few more years at least, why the Bears are there. Went to a Cubs game for a little while, did the Willis/Sears Tower observation deck way up top, and then just walked around the city and ate a bunch of food.
What was your favorite food? Did you get the true Chicago deep dish pizza, or you go with the regular one?
We ate like 2 or 3 different pizza places, and they were all pretty good. And then we went to this Korean barbecue restaurant. I think it was called Chubby Cattle in Chinatown. My brother got us to go there, and it's got one of the little stoves in the middle of the booth. And you just cook your own meat. So you pay a flat price, and then they just keep bringing you all sorts of different meats. You cook them there however you want them. They got side dishes too, so you get 90 minutes at that to eat as much as you can.
It could be good or bad. I mean, it's 90 minutes, all you can go.
It was tough to stop. I mean, I ate a lot. I know that, and then we had to take a 10 or 15 minute subway ride back up toward the hotel. So you get all that food bouncing around when you're on the train. So Yeah, it was. I definitely could have probably ate a little bit more, but that was fun. So it was a good trip. The smoke cleared up Friday, kind of around lunchtime, and then it got pretty clear there after that.
Yeah, that's I know, like I was saying, I think it was 2020 when we were up there. So 6 years ago, we were up at the Boundary Waters, and and seeing the smoke, and they closed the Boundary Waters, and no one can go in there, and they don't really know when. They're hoping next week they can let people back in, but it's a bad deal. It's pretty dry there. I know it's dry out where you live, and as tough as it is to see, and lives are being affected, livelihoods, the outfitters and things like that. This is a natural occurrence in these forests, in the mountains and the Boundary Waters and in Canada. This is natural. This helps the forest that will recover. They actually need this. I've actually read some stuff where, like the prairie in Iowa and where the buffalo used to be, natural fire they needed that. It clears out all the unwanted stuff, and then the native quick growing stuff grows back, and it is good for nature, but it does stink.
Yeah, it does. It's happened in 2020 out in Colorado, and it's happening again this year. And we just didn't really get much snow or rain. But the flip side of it is that when you do get a lot of snow and rain, everything grows. And then when it does dry out, that's more fuel for the fire. So it's kind of it's a double-edged sword, right? If you get a bunch of rain and snow, everything grows. If you don't, then it starts to burn. So I don't know if there's any exact science to it, but yeah, out in Colorado, it sounds like they're getting a good handle on it. So hopefully here within the next week or two, the one that's sort of close to where I live will be hopefully 100% contained.
Yeah, that'll be good. And that's what I haven't, with going down the Ozarks, and we played 36 holes yesterday. We played 36 holes Tuesday, and then we played 18 holes Monday afternoon after we drove down there early Monday morning. I haven't watched a lot of the news, or I haven't followed it as closely as I was before that with the Boundary Waters, if it's getting contained or they're just letting it go. The problem with the Boundary Waters is, there's no cars in, no cars out. There's no roads. You're not even supposed to have a motor on your boat. So, I mean, it's truly, I think, helicopter only that's fighting those fires. And the only good thing up there is there's no people per se and everything. So there's no, there's campsites and stuff like that, but there's no structures in most of that area to destroy or people's lives or anything. Just the beauty, and then the money that the state and the government gets to help fund that. And then obviously the outfitters that supply all the people doing that. And just the recreational aspect, there's people that have planned to do this trip for years and now not getting able to do it, or people that do it every year that are now interrupted and won't be able to do it and can't continue that yearly tradition that so many people need and want and everything.
Yeah, out west, Colorado, Utah, Arizona, there's just little pockets of areas where they've got fires going on. And as you mentioned, people had to change plans for vacations. And then if the fires, depending where they're at, I mean, people had to evacuate homes and structures are getting burned. So I think last I saw, I think Colorado had firefighters from 35 different states, including Alaska, helping out there. So it's a team effort. That's a dangerous job. I think 4 firefighters have already died in Colorado fighting these. So yeah, it's a dangerous job for sure. That's it's not one I can handle. I know that.
No, it's not what I would want to do, and we do appreciate all those people that do that. It is a risky job, and we've all seen movies and TV shows that show how they do that, and yeah, that's dramatized, but some of that is super real, and what they do is very, very important, and how the science of it is neat to me. Where they're cutting down trees and digging holes and digging, trying to stop that fire, and there's a science there, and they're doing what they can. They're not necessarily fighting the fire; they're just trying to stop it from spreading, which is fighting the fire, but not in the sense that we think of fighting a fire. All right, anything else you want to talk about with your trip or any of your other time back here, or anything?
No, I think that's good. We've got a little bit of Caitlin Clark stuff. We've got maybe some preview, a little bit of football here. I pulled up some of the early schedule, some college football and Super Bowl odds, and just I didn't know exactly what we're going to talk about today, but we can kind of just see where it leads to.
Yeah, let's start with Caitlin Clark. One, they're playing better as a team. They're getting, they aren't going to win every game, and they haven't won every game, but they're starting to click a little bit more. She's playing better. I know she had 45 one night. Last night she had 20. I saw it, and I forget, 27. Had a good game, good win. She definitely is playing better, and the team is playing better, so that is good. And then the other thing that came out, and I think this is what Trev was going to touch on. I read it. I didn't quite understand all, but the WNBA or whatever released a statement that they are having discussions on how to do better. I guess that's how I read that. Is that how you took that also, Trev?
That one, I saw something about it last night real quick, I thought, but I didn't have time to really dig into it. I did see ESPN had a headline that Sabrina Ionescu and Caitlin Clark turned down the 3-point contest. And I just saw a video this morning. Sabrina Ionescu came out and said, that's not true. She wasn't even invited. And she's the defending 3-point champs of last year. So again, the WNBA, the Mickey Mouse Association can't even get out of its own way. I mean,
that's not even a Caitlin Clark deal.
Yeah. So she said she wasn't even invited, and she was a defending champ. So again, whoever's making the decisions in the WNBA, Kathy Engelbert and her crew, whoever this is, I don't know if they pick who goes to the 3-point contest and stuff and all that, but the WNBA basically gets everything wrong all the time.
Yeah, and that we were talking about that this week when we were down there. It's Caitlin Clark. I understand, it's kind of almost a no-win situation for her. She's supposed to win. If she doesn't win, it's not good enough. But she needs good press right now, and so truly turning down the 3-point contest, I don't know if that would have been what I would have recommended her to do. She probably needs to do some of this goodwill, be the better person. Yes, I know it's not going well in all her situations with the WNBA, but this is something that maybe she could have controlled and said, yes, I'll play it and play in it and do my best and try to get the crowd going and help the crowd and get more fans behind it.
Yeah, and the flip side is the WNBA and a lot of the players don't really appreciate her or anything that she's done. Now, when you're on the court playing a game, I understand because you're trying to win the game and beat each other. But she could just say, "Screw it, I'm not going to help you guys out any more than what I normally do." So I get both sides of it. But yeah, she had a good game. I think it was 27 and 11 last night in limited minutes because she got taken out. The starters did because they were winning so handedly. She probably could have obviously scored some more points there. She had the 45 and 10 game. I think they've won 3 in a row now. So just like every year that she's been there, they start out slow early, and then about mid-season, about now, they really hit their stride going into the playoffs. So hopefully that's going to be the case again this year going down the stretch.
Yeah, I was watching the game the other night. I can't remember which. It wasn't her 45-point game, and it wasn't last night. It must have been the one in between it. I was just watching the coach Stephanie White, and her. They're about the same person. They're built alike. They kind of look alike, in my opinion. It's like those two are the same person, and I think she's a little less demonstrative than Caitlin is, but you can see that fire in her. And I think some of this coach player, they both a little bit keep it under their vest and try to keep it in-house. And then, what was it, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago when Stephanie White just kind of said enough is enough, I think that turned the switch because I think she was holding back a little bit and she finally just let it go. And I do think that has helped the Fever and Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, no, I definitely think it has. Looking at the standings, they're 5th right now. So if the playoffs started, I believe they would play Dallas in the opening round, which that would get really good ratings with Paige Beckers, Caitlin Clark. So we'll see if they can keep moving up the standings. We see it every year. They just get better as the year goes on for whatever reason. I mean, Caitlin was a little banged up early this year. Knock on wood that she can finish the season healthy. But yeah, it's obviously more fun to watch when she's playing well, and she's had some really good games as of late.
Right. All right. Anything else with her, or is it time to move on to football, which is our favorite time of year and what we look forward to, and what this podcast, not that we make any money, but makes our money on.
Yeah, our fake money, we call it.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got the college football schedule pulled up. I think we're 37 days away from the first game, which is North Carolina, TCU there in Dublin. And then there's also some other games on that Saturday as well. And obviously that first week, Saturday, Thursday, and then the following weekend you got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday games before the NFL gets started. So that's their weekend to kind of take advantage before the NFL gets kicking off.
Yeah, and that's Labor Day weekend. Iowa State plays SEMO, Southeast Missouri. I'll be there. Be new era at Iowa State with Jimmy Rogers. And that's the thing this year compared to so much. And I was listening to some Iowa State stuff just this morning. And we're actually going to learn some things. And we have when the depth chart comes out, and it might change, it's going to be a surprise, but not a huge surprise, because we really just don't know. Going into the last 5 years of the Campbell, you knew pretty much. Every once in a while there's a surprise, but not necessarily in camp. It was one of those, maybe the change happened over the course of the year during the season because the player got better or whatever. I just think of Brock Purdy when he came in. There was talks in camp that he was really good, but he was a freshman, had experienced guys. An injury happened. They went with the other guy. They brought him in, and then the rest was history. But here, Johnny Smith is your starting, linebacker right now on paper, but Jimmy Johnson beats him out. Okay, good. I hope he's better, and it's not like, John Smith has been the starting middle linebacker for 2 years and getting beat out by a young guy. Now we just have no idea. And though I no doubt in my mind they'll put the best players, or the players they feel that they'll give them the best chance to win, and because they're there to win football games and not drop off as much as people think. Iowa State's been picked last in several publications. I don't believe that will happen, but we just don't know. And then you got the flip side with the Hawkeyes that are exact opposite. Year 26 or 27, whatever it is for Kirk Ferentz, what it's going to be. A lot of the guys that are going to be there. The one question mark with them is the quarterback. Who's going to be the starter? And then will they give the other guy a shot? I'm going to say no, because that's just not Kirk Ferentz's MO. He picks a guy and he stays with them unless an injury happens, which that, obviously always can happen, and that stinks for all involved, and you have to make a change. But over the course of his tenure, there's been several guys behind others that you think are better. But whoever they put out there is who Kirk Ferentz thinks can direct the offense and make the least mistakes. And that's just how he operates, and he's not going to change, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah, we know we're getting with the Hawkeyes. I haven't seen for sure between Helinski and Hank Brown who's leading that quarterback battle. That's kind of going to be over the next few weeks. I'll start diving into college football a little bit more. And then, for Iowa State, we'll see how Jimmy Rogers handles the injury report compared to how Campbell did, because you knew with Campbell you weren't going to get any information on injuries.
I think Campbell just flat out lied.
I don't blame him.
I agree. You don't have to report it. Or I think you finally did have to start reporting this last year, but you didn't have to be very specific. I know, I don't remember what year it was. It's been quite a while ago, but one of the linemen, he was out of Creston, Trevor Downing, he broke his leg. He was walking around in a cast, and every time they asked officially, everybody knew, but officially it was day-to-day. He's day-to-day, which we all are. I understand what he's saying. He's not, but he wasn't playing anytime soon, and he didn't play the rest of the year and redshirted. It was like, dude, he's wearing a cast walking around here.
Yeah, no, that's.
Yeah, it's not even a boot, not a brace. He had a cast.
I remember. No, I remember you talking about that last year. So it'll be interesting to see how Iowa State does in this next phase of the Jimmy Rogers era. Just kind of outside of Iowa State and Iowa, some coaches that are going to be on the hot seat. I think Lane Kiffin and Deion Sanders, both of them. I don't know their exact contract situation, but I know Lane's getting paid a ton of money at USC, and it's not to win 9 or 10 games a year. It's to get in the playoff and win playoff games and get USC back to a national title.
You mean Lincoln Riley?
Oh yeah, sorry, Lincoln Riley.
No.
Yep. My apologies.
Which Lane Kiffin is on. I mean, you can say it's his first year and he's getting paid a ton of money too. And if things go haywire, which he hasn't ever really went haywire. He wears on people and stuff. But if he would go 3-9 or something like that, they'd get rid of him in 1 year. I mean, so he's on. If things go really bad there, but yeah, Lincoln Riley out in USC is very, very much on the hot seat. I think Kyle Whittingham in Michigan's an interesting case. Their AD and their athletic department's in shambles. I think the Michigan State bringing LeVar Woods in and Fitzgerald in there is interesting. I don't know how I feel, and we've talked about this. Hate watch, dream watch, wish it was Iowa State watch. Matt Campbell at Penn State is very interesting. He's got a lot of pressure on him. He does not have, is he going to get fired in this first year? No. But he's got expectations that he's never had to have at Iowa State. And if they don't get to the playoff, they're going to be very, very disappointed there in Happy Valley.
Yeah, if you look at their schedule on paper, it's a pretty favorable schedule. So, yeah, Penn State, they really do need to compete for a playoff spot, even though it's his first year. There's mixed reviews from the fans at Penn State. A lot of fans wanted a bigger name.
Yep.
I think fans that really pay attention to college football knew that getting Matt Campbell was a good get. Now, can he take him to the playoff and win playoff games? That remains to be seen. Yep. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, even in year one, like you say, he's not going to get fired in 1 year outside of some scandal or something. But he does need to compete to be in playoff contention though in year one.
Yeah, that's Lane Kiffin's the same way. He can't finish fourth in the SEC. He's not getting fired, but he gets fourth or fifth and just barely get in the playoff and lose the first game or not get in the playoff. They're going to be wanting his head in 1 year. And that's not good. But he's got the resources and players and he should compete. And here's what happens down there in the SEC is, okay, so they're up in the playoff. Now who's out? Is it Texas that's out? Is it Alabama back out? Is it, that's what's the crazy thing is somebody's got to get out. Obviously he had Ole Miss in. I would assume Ole Miss will be out now that he left because he's probably the secret sauce. We don't know that. If Pete Golding can keep it going there, does Florida make a jump with their new coach? There's 10 teams down there that think they should win the national championship. They can't even all get in the playoff yet.
Yeah, I think I was listening to Joe Klatt. The 2 years that they've been doing this new expanded playoff, I think 20 different teams have made the playoffs so far. So, yeah, we're going to see some new ones get in. I think a lot of people expect Notre Dame to get back in the playoff this coming season. Kind of looking at the odds to win. We all know who the favorites are: Ohio State, Texas, Notre Dame, Indiana, Oregon. I'll probably throw a little bit of money on Texas A&M at 20-1.
Okay. Yeah.
They played pretty well, and I kind of like Ole Miss at 30-1. A couple of long shots.
They got the quarterback back. That's a big deal.
Yeah, but outside of that, though, you got to obviously have one of the top dogs. Oregon's returning just about everybody, but we have to see if they can finally take that next step because anytime they get in some really big games, they just don't seem to be quite ready for it. So maybe kind of getting run out of the building versus Indiana, maybe that'll give them a little bit of extra motivation and see if Oregon can take that next step.
How far do you think Indiana drops? Like just in general, will they be right there in contention again? Probably not win the thing. They were one of the favorites to win it this year, but playoff expectations for sure.
Yeah, I'd be a little surprised if they don't make the playoff, and they don't seem to be getting a lot of attention as far as this upcoming season goes. Obviously, they won the national title. Mendoza, all the highlights, we know all about that, but it feels like a lot of people, at least I'm listening to, it's just Ohio State, Texas, Oregon, Notre Dame, and then Indiana's kind of in that next mix. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's not much of a drop off with what Signetti's doing there in his first 2 years. It obviously is going to come down to Hoover and the quarterback play.
Right. And then, I mean, he brought a lot of those guys from James Madison with him that knew his system. Now he's probably has, on paper, better players, but they don't know him as well. And it takes some time and 2 or 3, just a little bit rebuilding. And but if Hoover plays really well for them, they've got enough talent to be right there again.
Yeah, for sure. Miami at 11-1. There's some people that think Miami's going to have a better team this year. Now they lost a ton of players to the draft.
Yes, I'd say they did lose a lot to the draft, but
so I'm interested in how they do. And then LSU is going to be in the mix. Texas Tech, they're at 22-1, but given everything that's gone on with the Sorsby situation, I'd probably stay away from Texas Tech this year.
Or I'm gonna play a little bit of or is it just better that it's not now that everybody knows he's not playing? The quarterback that is returning that played pretty well, but he's just hurt, might miss 2 or 3 games. They can survive those couple of games without him, or even I think they were talking that he might be able to play right away. Could it be that they're going to be almost better without Sorsby because now they won't have that distraction at all? And I know people will start the year talking about it, but you should be able to win the first couple of games just on your talent alone. And then you get in the rhythm, and because that was the question with me is, was Sorsby worth $5 million and being the number one guy? I don't know. He's good, but was he that good? We didn't know, and maybe they're just going to almost be better without him. It wouldn't shock me. I do think it'll be them or BYU that win it all from the Big 12.
Yeah, it definitely could work in the opposite way. Now that this distraction is over with, for the most part, maybe it'll motivate the players and the team, kind of the world type of deal, and whoever their quarterback is, maybe he might even end up being better than what Sorsby would have been. So, yeah, it definitely could work that way. It's not too far away with college football. I mean, the NFL, not the same situation, but another distraction that's going on with the Mike Vrabel, Diana Rossini that's been going on all summer. I think most people are going to pick them to lose that opening game in Seattle. But again, if maybe the team rallies around him and they pull the upset there versus the defending champs in that Super Bowl rematch.
Yeah, that's been a weird deal. And then that you see their pictures with them separate on their vacations with their families, and don't really want to touch that, but that's been a weird topic and weird stories. And then kind of the other thing is ESPN layoffs again. Reportedly, I haven't seen, but Ryan Clark and the one that I'm, kind of, I don't know, sad isn't the right word, but just disappointing and it stinks is Carl Ravitch. I guess he's going to be out too, or is out, whatever. Like I said, I've been out of focus for a few days. I just see some highlights on your phone or whatever, but I liked him. He did a good job. He always did the Little League World Series. He did college baseball World Series. He kind of did, kind of some of those, not the main games and everything, but he was always really good. And I thought he did a great job. And I'm sure he'll just move on to one of the other stations or do his own thing. That's the thing now is you can do your own thing and be just fine. But it does stink that ESPN is paying essentially what they're doing. They are deciding that Stephen A. Smith and Pat McAfee and a couple guys like that are worth more than having a whole bunch of people, and they are just focused. And everybody's talking about Pat McAfee getting like $60 million a year. Well, that is they're paying the rights to the Pat McAfee show and all the things because he's not getting that. Then he's got to pay his people and all his stuff out of that. So it's not like he's getting that money. Now, whatever they're paying Stephen A. Smith, pretty sure he is getting that stuff because I'm sure that is a ESPN contract. It's Pat McAfee's his own entity, and he's just getting licensed through ESPN. But that's what ESPN is going to, and we were talking about that is, 1999 to Sports Center compared to now, it's just not even close. And it's just kind of sad how ESPN is just not sports like it used to be. At least their shows. They still have the games and everything, but like their shows like Baseball Tonight, Sports Center, all those just aren't the same as they used to be.
Yeah, I really probably stopped watching most things on ESPN, Sports Center, I don't know, 8 to 10 years ago. Obviously, if there's a game on or something, or the Pat McAfee show, the draft, I'll tune in for some of that stuff. But as far as their main talking shows, debate shows, those just got repetitive to me and annoying. But yeah, it's disappointing to see all those people get laid off. I'm sure most of them, like you said, will end up at Fox, FS1, or different networks, depending on what sports they specialize in. And as you said, too, a lot of these folks, they can go do their own podcast. They can join up with other podcast companies. So most of them, I think they'll be fine. A lot of them are really talented. So that's the good thing about today's world is it's not like they have to go and really struggle to find a job. There's a lot of different avenues that most of them can go down and probably start working pretty quickly.
Yeah, it'll all be about, unfortunately too many people know this, but the severance package and how long you can and can't do things and stuff like that. But those big companies, and I don't know if it's an ESPN problem, a Disney problem, whoever's making those decisions, I think that they figured out that the live sports is the deal and all the other stuff is just kind of peripheral, trivial type stuff. And you get Stephen A. Smith because he'll say something crazy and get clicks. And then Pat McAfee is, kind of the number one guy right now in all that stuff. And they're just going to put what they do is they just saturate it. They just put him on more and more stuff because he's getting that money. And that's the deal is, all right, when we want you to show up for this, you're showing up and you're going to be a part of this, even if it's not his main content. But when you're getting paid like that, that's kind of your job. And, he likes the wrestling stuff and where was he at? Where did I see? I can't even remember. Kind of lost my train of thought there, but he was somewhere where it was like, what are you doing here? Well, it was just part of his, I'm sure, contract with ESPN, and he's going to be on different shows doing things. And that's just the way it is.
Yep, they're like you said, they're really going all in with Stephen A., the Pat McAfee show that they're paying the rights for, and then of course they're still keeping plenty of other people for
right.
NFL Live and some of the other shows that they got going. But yeah, that was a pretty big deal, especially coming up. I think Ryan Clark was actually doing a live broadcast, something, and then they went to commercial break, and he found out. I think a lot of them found out through social media, so that's pretty disappointing.
Yeah, that's happened. I mean, that's Yeah, you don't want that. You want someone to tell you. Well, unfortunately, that doesn't happen. I know those layoffs here in Des Moines with the radio, they got a call or an email or something. I don't think anybody actually physically told them, which is disappointing. That's the least you can do is have someone say it face to face. But I'm pretty sure that the one show, the afternoon show, the 4 to 7 show or 4 to 6, whatever it was, they were on a remote. And as soon as they got done, they got called. And kind of the joke was they should have just left all the equipment in the van or truck, whatever they were driving there, should have just left it and went home. But they didn't. They packed up and put it back and took everything back. Because obviously, in situations like that, the thing that you can't forget is you don't want to burn a bunch of bridges because the next guy to get laid off might be your boss at that job. And now he goes and gets another job and he'll know that you did everything right. And, these guys are not getting fired or girls are not getting fired or laid off because of their talent. It's just a numbers game. They see their salary, and if they cut 4 people that make $400,000 a year, well, that's $1.6 million. That's what it is. It's not because it's Carl Ravitch or Ryan Clark or whatever it is, and the numbers are irrelevant. It's just numbers, and that's what stinks. And I know in the case of the Des Moines radio, they just flip on national which there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, they go to the Dan Patrick Show and Colin Cowherd, and those are good shows, but it's still not local. You're not getting the Iowa State stuff. You're not getting the local tire shop to sponsor it. Just things like that are just different.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's pretty disappointing that in a lot of cases like this, in a lot of industries, that people don't do it face to face. They hide behind an email or a keyboard or their phone. Nobody has the courage or the guts to do stuff like this face to face anymore. And it would, if you're laying off a bunch of people, it'd be tough to do it one by one. But you would hope that one person could do a certain group of folks in whatever department, and then another person does another department. Try to do it all at the same time, of course. But find out on social media, that's just, that's pretty low.
Yeah, it's unfortunately it's the way it is, and I wish there was a way to just like not support ESPN and not and like show them that it's not right, and iHeart media, obviously that's Des Moines, but it's really hard to shut those out because Iowa State is going to play on ESPN this fall, basketball and football, and guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to watch it. It's going to be on ESPN, and I'm going to watch all the commercials and do everything like that. I'm going to want to watch, whatever, a baseball playoff game that's on ESPN, or, it doesn't matter. Golf's going to be on ESPN. I'm going to watch because that's what I do. I watch sports. That's what stinks. And then, on the radio or, podcasts or music, whatever, almost half of what you see seems to be like iHeartMedia, and it's just crazy.
Yeah, these ESPNs and Fox and all these different channels and everything, they're so big that you can't completely ignore them if you want to watch your team or watch a big sporting event. Yeah. So it's, when stuff's not going on, you don't have to watch, but when your team's playing or something, a big sporting event that you want to watch, you really have no choice.
No. Yeah, that's what, and I like the Dan Patrick Show. I don't listen to it all day, every day, but if it's on, I'll watch it for a little bit of time when I'm watching, or Colin Cowherd, same thing. I'm not a everyday, all day listener to it. And those are Fox, but obviously they're in cahoots with iHeartMedia, whatever. So, I mean, I'm, even those are Fox products, I believe, or Dan Patrick might even be an independent one. Colin Cowherd, is he independent too, or is he a Fox guy?
He's Fox. His radio goes through iHeart, and then of course he owns his own podcast company too. So he's got a mixture of all three, I guess.
Yeah, I'd say he's probably getting a check three different ways. Fox is paying him, he's paying himself, and that's how just life in general works. Is when you form companies and then you sell rights and things like that, which is great for everybody. But you may think you're not. Oh, I'm not going to listen to iHeart, whatever. Well, you kind of are. I mean, that's because they're just the way it is. But. All right, Trev, anything else? We're about 40 minutes in. I know that's the kind of the time you said that you wanted, and kind of blabbering a little bit about just whatever here. And but just football's getting close. Next week, just be on. I'm going to be obviously out of the country in Antigua. I'm going to take my computer and I'm going to try to do it sometime. It'll be Eastern time zone. So we'll try to set something up. I think it'd be kind of neat to do one. Probably not, again, 30, 40 minutes is all we'll do. But I think it'd be kind of neat to do something down there and get it off to everybody. But if it doesn't work, we might skip a week here.
That'll be all right. We're still not in football season, so if we have to miss one, won't be the end of the world. But we'll try to get one out next week for sure, and we'll with the different time zones, we'll figure something out.
Yep. So are you going to be where are you going to be? You think? I mean, obviously everything changes or whatever.
I'll either be in Arizona or California next week, so I should be able to do one of the normal nights that we typically do.
Yep. Yeah, and that's fine. And that's just have to figure out the time even be worse. Their time zone that this island is in is actually one even further east than the Eastern time zone, but they do not recognize daylight savings. So for the summertime, it's the same as the Eastern time zone. So it's only 1 hour difference instead of 2. So.
Nope. Sounds good. Hope you have a great time down there. And you and I will talk off the air, and we'll figure out a time to get another one out.
Yep. All right. We'll talk to you later, Trev.
All righty. Have a good day.
Yep.